Like I said, my name is Eric Wright. I'm the education specialist here for the Wisconsin Veterans Museum. I'd like to thank everybody for coming out tonight. We greatly appreciate it. And we know everybody likes these drink and draw events. They are a lot of fun, mostly because Yvette makes them. She's a blast. I'll tell you what, she's great to work with too. Before we before we get started, I just want to say a quick thank you to the Wisconsin Veterans Museum's Foundation. Can't even talk now. I'm taking after you, Yvette. Wisconsin Veterans Museum Foundation for their continued support, as well as Generac Power Systems for being our continued sponsor here for our virtual events. We are very pleased to have both of them on board and very lucky to have both of them on board, actually. So thank you to them, and particularly to Miss Jennifer Carlson, the Executive Director for the Wisconsin Veterans Museums Foundation. Tonight, we are obviously here for Drink and Draw. And tonight we are going to be looking at one-line drawings. Yvette is going to explain to you what all that is, and she's going to talk you through all these fantastic processes. And I'm going to stop talking, and I'm going to, before I stop talking though, I just want to remind everybody, if you do have a question for Yvette as we're going through the program, please submit that to either myself or to Molly via the chat function, and we'll get those questions to Yvette as we're going along. So please use the chat function on Zoom for any questions that you might have. And with that, Yvette, I'm going to turn it right over to you, and we're going to get this party started.
All right. Thanks, Eric. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Drink and Draw. It's good to see some familiar faces out there. As Eric said, we are going to be focusing on, I'm going to go ahead and spotlight me right now. We are going to be focusing on one-line drawings, and what that means. Let me spotlight my other self too. Or Molly, can you spotlight my veteran print project one with the jacket so that we'll have the side-by-side. So one-line drawings, if you're not familiar with that, it's a pretty frequently used drawing technique for graphics these days, where it's literally if you're taking your pencil and going and starting your drawing, and you're going to draw the entire figure or shape without ever lifting your pencil up off of your canvas or your substrate, and you're going to use spirals. And I'll demo that for you here in a second. And let me just go full screen here. I'll demo that for you in a second. And I am going to pin. What do you guys, Molly, can you let me know? I realized I didn't work this through with my first.
I pinned your other one, but now I can't see you pinned.
Okay, and that's fine. I'm gonna exit full screen for me. That's fine. For tonight, you guys, the last couple drink and draws, I've been actually drawing on paper or watercolor. I'm going to go back to my iPad for tonight and share the screen, so you will have a side-by-side of the image that we'll be drawing. So before I get into the iPad, I'll just give you another overview. The reason I chose the images I did, I mentioned last Drink and Draw, we have a new exhibit coming up in November. It's called Souvenirs of Service. And we're going to be looking at objects and souvenirs from service members from the Civil War to present day, of things they brought back, the things they kept. And it's not exactly what the things you were thinking of when you think souvenirs and military service. So we are going to also be focusing on some of these jackets that people bring back from Japan and Korea that have these wonderfully embroidered animals on them. And so the embroidery works really well for one-line drawing. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now. And if you guys are having trouble viewing, just go ahead and let us know in chat. Like I said, I didn't do my side-by-side when I got started tonight, so I'm a little, can you see the screen?
I think you have to start your video on your iPad.
No, I did it. I'm not playing a video. Stand by. We're going to share the screen. Okay. All right, now we see it.
Yep.
Okay, so this is an example of the finished drawing of one of the jackets. So if we go ahead and pull up I'll take this off and I'll take the background jacket off. This is the jacket that I was referring to. So this is from the Byron Parfrey collection here at the Wisconsin Veterans Museum. And the funny story about this jacket is, oh, and just so you guys know, Molly will put in the chat, if you have access to your computer, I know that when you're working on your computer, it's hard to do side by side, but if you go to our blog post, so wisvetsmuseum.com, go to the blog post, the September drink and draw will have these images there, not only for your reference tonight, but if when we're finished with our drawings, you'll have reference for that. And Molly put that in the chat for everybody, that link to the website. So this is from the Byron Parfrey collection. And when Byron was serving overseas in Korea, he wanted one of these collectible jackets. And so he went to the store to get a jacket and he tried a bunch of them on. And this jacket was the only one that fit him. And he was like, great, I'll take it. But what he realized is that this was a jacket that was on sale because the person that ordered it and had it specially made for them never picked it up. So it actually has a name embroidered on the front that is not Byron Parfrey's. The name embroidered on the front is Darwin Carp. So Byron Parfrey did not mind that this was Darwin Carp's jacket. And so he bought it anyway. And we have this wonderful jacket now in our collection with Darwin Carp is such a funny name. Our collections manager always gets a kick out of looking at Darwin's name embroidered on this jacket. But you see here the very typical style of, this is a tiger that you see a lot in Japanese prints. Did they ever meet? Sherry said, I don't believe they did. I have a theory, was telling Molly and Eric before we started. I have a theory, a lot of times in military, we play pranks on one another. And when we get embroidery of our name tags, often we'll get fake names sewn and embroidered for us. So I have a feeling Darwin Carp maybe is not the actual person's name that got it, which is probably why it didn't get picked up. Either it was somebody doing a practical joke. I don't know. Darwin Carp's not such a far-fetched name, but for 1946, was an interesting name. So I love the orange in this jacket. I love the metallic, the silk. My father would go to Korea every year for his military service, and he would bring back embroidered silk objects for us and our family members. So I was always drawn to these types. I had a jacket like this when I was a kid, and I wish I still had it. But these tigers, the reason why I wanted to do this embroidery was the type of image that I want to do today is called, as I mentioned, a one-line drawing. So if I take this off and I create a new layer, if any of you ever work in iPad, there's a wonderful app called Procreate, and it's a drawing application for using an Apple Pencil and your iPad. So that's what I'm working on today. But I'm just going to give you a sample real quick before we look at the actual image. If when I say one line drawing, let's say I want to do a face, we can just start here and first get your pencil on. I would start here and then I'd make my way up, and there's an ear, right? So I don't want to stop. And then I go, and let's say they have some fun hair, and then I go down, give them a little bit more hair, get into there, get their sideburns in, little ear, and then come around, and then come and do the lips. Then you're gonna do up the nose, and then you get some eyebrows in, get some eyes, another ear. Let's say he's got glasses on, so we'll put some glasses. Go around, do his neck, little collar. And there's your one-line drawing, right? So for me, what's difficult with the iPad, so what we're going to do today, I'm going to cheat a little. There will be times where I'm going to be lifting my pencil off of the surface, because sometimes with my iPad, the way it's set up is when I'm dragging my line, and if I hold it for too long of a time, it does this really great thing if I'm trying to make a graphic where it gives me these great straight lines. I don't necessarily want that tonight. So if I have to lift up, it's because I don't want my iPad to be doing this. So you guys can draw on pen and paper. I think Sherry might be asking that right now, but you guys can still use pen and paper tonight. Oh yeah, you can definitely, that's what, I'm only using the iPad as a tool to demonstrate for you. So this is a drawing class with, you need a piece of paper and a pencil, marker, whatever substrate you have, that's what we're gonna do. The main focus is using your pencil to draw the object. Tonight, it's gonna be these tigers, right? And we're just gonna do, let's say this is a flower, and just keep one line going. For me, you'll see with the embroidery, it's gonna feel more like I'm scratching. I'm trying to think. I'm just gonna be kind of zigzagging all night. And I also am really happy to be doing this technique tonight. As we all know, tomorrow is the anniversary, the 20th anniversary of 9/11. It's a day that sits in my head. It's ingrained in within my body. I did join the Army after 9/11, so actually 2 weeks before, and then I ended up getting called to active duty right away. So 9/11 is a very powerful event for me, and we're at the 20th anniversary, and there's a lot of been going on in the world with Afghanistan. So I wanted to pay homage to that, but I'm not in a place where I can really focus on something from that anniversary for tonight's drawing. So this methodology functions as a sort of meditative process as well, because you're going to be just following that line and using it as your meditation, and you have to concentrate. So this is my meditation for in honor of the 20th anniversary of 9/11. So let's start easily, because this is the end result, right, that I was going to show you. I'll turn this off and show you. Ideally, this is what we want to get to. Now, this is 3 or 4 colors, but I'm going to show you how we're going to sort of start with an outline and then start using these squiggly scratches to build up that embroidery thread. So this is a modification of a one-line drawing. This is kind of fun. I like it. I didn't think that these tigers were going to come out this well. This isn't something I would like normally do, but this is a really fun exercise to get your hand to loosen up. Let's get our wrists warmed up. Let's get our hands warmed up. And we're going to add the jacket in there too. So we'll do this. We can start simple with a jacket. So let's go to a different tiger, because this is a little bit simpler to start with. This is going to be our warm-up drawing. Okay, so I have the image on the back of the screen that I'm going to trace it. Okay, but if you guys are looking at the tiger or you need a reference image, I'll go ahead and put up a reference image here for you. So that as I'm drawing on the tiger, you can look at this tiger too. So if you want to quickly maybe draw out some shapes for yourself, I have a colored background, which I'll take back to white. So that if you want to just start with some, this is why I enjoyed the other night when we were doing drink and draw. I actually do enjoy drawing with my pen and paper more than the iPad, but the iPad is just a little bit more convenient when we're trying to do this scenario. I don't know why my reference image, there we go. So there's our reference image from this jacket, the Okinawa tiger, okay? But this is what I was saying. If you want to just start by giving yourself like a general shape. Sorry for the delay, I promise. I promise I'll get this together. All right. So if you need to get your tiger just sort of laid out with the basic shape, you can do that, just so you know your guidelines to keep you in the lines. There's no cheating on this. This is just, like I said, an exercise in line. So you're welcome to take from the reference that's here on the left, give yourself a little guideline. I'm going to show you how I'm going to start though. So before I get into all of the zigzags, I'm going to go ahead and try to outline the tiger. Now, this is a really sort of weird smushed together profile of a tiger. So this is going to be more of an exercise in look and feel rather than let's think that this is an actual side of a tiger's face. So we're going to go with the artistic styles of this tiger as well. I'm going to use my reference image to trace on. So I'm going to start with a white color, because if you have multiple colored pencils around you, that's fine. But if you just have one pencil, just do it black and white. So we'll start here. And then I'm just gonna, you saw how I kind of did that last face, right? And I'm just gonna take what I see and go around and just keep my pencil on the canvas and draw down. And if you've ever played those games where you're trying to get from point A to point B and you can only go one direction and it'll only give you an option to get from one place to the other and you can't cross different paths, this is sort of like that game. It can be frustrating. But here there's no winners and losers. It's just playing around with line. And if you're you see I'm overlapping some lines, that's okay. This is not an exercise in perfection. When we get into the actual drawing, I want you guys, like the zigzags, I want you guys to think of yourselves like you were a sewing machine, and how if you've ever sewn before, how you would manually do embroidery with this. They have such computerized embroidery techniques now, but some of this stuff used to be done manually, and you'd have to change the thread and know what direction you were going with the thread to make this sort of imagery. The thread directions indicate different dimension in the object. So you can see here, I'm just being really loose with these squigglies and giving myself just an area. It's almost like if I was giving myself an outline of where I'm going to have to take the embroidery needle. This is one of those examples where I'm going to have to lift the pen because it starts to fade with pressure. This is the computer application, not my hand. So I picked up my pencil. Don't tell on me. And then I'm going to go here, indicate there's color changes in here. So I'm giving myself this little outline. So just if you're doing this in black and white, the next step is probably going to be more of your starting point. I'm going to do multiple colors, so I'm giving myself some guidelines for myself of where I'm going to go. So there's two ways you want to look at this. One, like you're a sewing machine. And if you're just thinking about one line drawings and not actually doing an embroidered object, I'm going to lift up here for a second. Think about if you had a clear table and a long skein of wool or thread, right? Let's say you had a big piece of thread or a piece of yarn, and you wanted to draw this just by taking the yarn and laying down the yarn on the table. You only get one line, right? Like you're not going to sit there and cut up yarn pieces and try to line them out. You're going to just lay that yarn down and sort of coil it in and out of to make the drawing on the table. This is the same thing, but you're doing it with pen and ink. So again, I lifted my hand, so I'm going to start just here at this point and continue on. connecting my lines, giving myself a little outline. But you can see it's a really wiggly, not at all precise drawing. I'm just letting my hand guide me across this paper. Taking those whiskers, seeing where I might need to add some extra parts to this drawing. Going around, I just noticed I didn't get this in here, so. Okay, I think I have a pretty good foundation. So I'll change this background color back to green. So you can see there now, it's a very loose, squiggly drawing. If I was more disciplined, I would take my time. If I just wanted to do a one line, one color, I'll take my time going around that tiger's face, looping around, giving myself a little bit more distinct line. I can do that on pen and paper. I'm still learning the finesse of my brushed weight on the iPad. So I kind of like the squiggly look. I don't know why, but this is sort of fun. We're gonna do more squiggles to make the thread lines. But if, let's say, for example, you just did this little outline and you're not in the mood to do all of these little squiggly lines, you could take a watercolor or a marker, right, with a color and do a solid, let's say marker. Forgive me. You just take like a marker, get a color that you want to use on there. Use the side of the marker, start adding some color into that, and make you a fun graphic with some background color. I'm just doing something really quickly here, and then I'm gonna move this on top. You can't do that with pen and paper, but you get the idea. You could actually color yourself a nice little round color swatch before you actually do your line work on top of it. And let's see here. So now we've got this white outline. I'm going to go in. I'm not going to refine any of this. I think this is giving me a good base to start from. So I'm going to go ahead and put my reference image back on here. And I'm going to ask Molly to keep an eye on time for me, just because I'll end up spending a lot of time on this and I want to get to the other jacket too. So give me about 5 more minutes with this one, Molly, or 7 more minutes. Thank you. Yeah, 7:30 and we'll switch to the other jacket. So I'm going to go to, I've already got this orange pulled up. I'm going to make it a little bit, no, I kind of like that. So now we've got the orange. I'm going to turn off the white so it's not so distracting. When we go in to do all the orange threads, you can see if I zoom in here, you can see where these thread marks, you can see where these thread marks go like back and forth, right? You can see how that, if I'm doing that, that's not how I'm going to draw, but you can see there's a curve to them. So just because it's with thread doesn't mean that they're not taking the shape and using that line to their advantage. So what I'll do is I'll start here. I'm going to zoom back out. So I'm going to start here and I'm just going to make the thread marks. This is where I'm really pretending like I'm a sewing machine. I'm zigging, zagging back and forth. And then I'm going to pull it up and then there's more orange in here. And here's where that direction is I'm talking about. So you have that curved. This is where you got to loosen your wrist up. If you're too restrictive with your wrist, you're going to just frustrate yourself. Just be really loose. So it goes down like this. And then it comes back up. So I'm just making zigzags. And around the eye, if you've looked at patches, you can see how they make that little, they're going to make this arch by using your stitches. Bring around. And then this gets really curvy in here. So again, I'm not lifting my pen up at all. I'm just doing curves, curves, curves. And then I'm going to go back and add a little bit more onto the top of that layer. Stack it on there just like you would with thread. You can always sew on top of other thread. So I'm going really loose here. I bet you guys didn't think that you were going to be spending an hour on drink and draw scribbling with me. But every once in a while, scribbling is really fun. So I'm going to go through again, and then I'm going to loop around like I have little stitches in here. And then I'm going to get this out. And you can sort of see that, you know, a sewing machine can only do, the stitching can only go as far as when the needle's lifting and lowering and lifting and lowering. So there's places where you have to go in and do a little double layer. Now I'm lifting up again because of the marker situation on my computer. If you have to do that on your paper, feel free. So I've got curves here again, and the curve makes that ear really feel dimensional if I curve it correctly. And then I'm going to come down here and get these zigzags out like this. I see it's coming up, so I'm going to change direction. And this is a loose form of cross hatching too. So if you've ever done cross hatching, this is similar, but instead of intentionally crossing over ourselves, we're just doing hatching, but we're not releasing the pen. So that's why you get the zigzag. So I'm coming around here. So I'm going to come up there. I am going to lift up and just come back over here and finish the orange that's over here. And what's nice about this is I can use different color orange to build up and give myself a little bit more dimension on that. So I'm going to look here. Now I've got some red. So I'm going to go in and get this sort of reddish orange that's in the mouth area. So I'm going to give myself another layer here. And again, I'm just going to start, and you can really start to see where these thread marks are. So I'm just going to zigzag. Go around these teeth here. And honestly, when you get into this, you're not even really looking at what you're drawing. It's just a matter of following the lines and coloring it in with these really wacky lines, just scribbling it in. So there's this. For the spirit of keeping it with the one line drawing, I'm going to go ahead and move. I know there's not pink over there, but I'm going to use that to move my stylus to get me back to where I need to be. And you, again, you can hatch on top of other pieces that you've gone through.
Yvette, it is 7:30 now.
Great, thank you. Okay, so we got a pink layer. I got a couple people on screen. Let me know if you guys want me to keep working on this one, if you've been working on this one, and I won't switch over because I realized you guys are using this as reference too. So we can go ahead and stay on this one if everybody wants. Just let me know. Sherry said she'd like to switch. I see a couple of folks say maybe we stay. How about I'll stay for a few more minutes and then we'll switch over. So let's do one more color. And then if you guys let me know in the chat, yes, stay please. Okay, great. So let's see, we've still got some pink. I'm going to go with a lighter color of pink now, because I've got that. You can see on, if we look at the reference image that I zoomed in, you can see you've got like a pink and a red. So I'm going to switch color just a little bit and I'll pull that back out for you guys. So you have your reference. So let me pull this pink out here. This is another one of those examples where I get ambitious and then the hour just flies by and I realize, oh, stick to one image, don't do two. So I'm going to go ahead, and this is where I will start to be able to give myself a little bit more. I can create depth in this drawing just by adding another little subtle color difference on top of these threads that I've already done. And it gives me that chance to really finesse these areas of color just by using a little bit either more precise line here or a little bit more loose. Like I can take just one line there, two sides. And in this, I'm just trying to really develop this up a little bit. I love that cats' noses look like hearts. I've always loved that. So I really like the pinkness of this and the shape that develops. So that looks a little messy, but when we start actually adding in more colors, you'll see, let me add the white back on there so you can see. You know, we'll start to really develop you can start to see where you might need to add some darker colors in there to bring out what exactly you're looking at. And we'll need to go in and do some of the detail of the white now so we can really build those teeth up. So let me put my source drawing back on there and I'll create a new layer. And then let's look at the white areas. I'm going to take my pink out just so that I have a little bit more space to know what I need to draw. So I'm going to start here again on this nose area and just work some lines in there. And then now we've got, these are teeth. So go in and the curve of those teeth, you can use circles to really build up those teeth, or squares, or just continue with your nice little zigzags. It's really up to you. It's just a matter of keeping the line going. And I'm going to lift because I realized for some reason I'm going to go back. my marker was really thick for that. So we'll start again. I'm going to go. And the teeth, you can really just start to make your shapes, but then we're going to give it some, when we go through with the darker thread, we'll go through and make sure we define those edges a little bit better so you know what you're looking at. But take advantage of the shapes that you're actually putting down with these zigzags here to give that dimension. And then I'm going to go through and I'm going to do And I'm going to give myself a little highlight on the nose. I'm taking some artistic license with that. Then we're going to go around the eye here. I'm going to keep going here. And then I've got these large whiskers here. So this is really fun. Just pull. And you can go back. There's some little lines here. So we're in here, inside the ear. You can see how my lines are changing in the direction. I'm not just going slanted to the right all the time. I'm making sure that I'm filling the shape of the object that I'm drawing. So go here, it can be, get these whiskers. All right, and then as I wrap up here, I'm going to do the shape of this jawline. You can really see how the curves really help you develop a visual of what you're looking at. It helps establish that nice furry jawline that cats have. And then we have more teeth up here. So I'll pull through. And there's a little bit of highlights on this. So these are really tiny, jagged little edges here. Just little tiny squiggles to give that little essence of highlight. And then I'm going to go up and fill this out a little bit more up here. And then I'm going to jump over that orange and get this white, little bit of white outline here. So quite a lot of squiggling going on with the white, but you can really see it start to pull together and start taking shape. And I realized I missed the whiskers up on top here, so I'll just bring those out. And we can add the pinks back in. So I think I think my pink choice of color for my pink was probably a little bit too pink, but it's coming together. I like the way it looks on the green. Do we have any other do we have any questions so far? I'm going to switch to another color, but we're making strides, we're making progress with this image here.
I think all the questions that have come through so far, Yvette, have been answered.
Okay, wonderful. So we're going to just keep going with this image. I think we're starting to build it up, and then that way you guys don't have to switch over and try to start anew with a new image. Sorry, Sherry, I know you wanted to switch, but maybe we'll do a part 2, and then we'll develop the next tiger, because I'm having fun with these. So let's see. I love this image because I think the beautiful blue, gray around the right side. Let's pull that back in and then get a new layer, and I'll circle that for you. This area right here, I really love that blue gray. If I can get the right color, we're going to have a really pretty image start to develop. So I'm going to find that sort of periwinkle blue. I also just like to say periwinkle, so That's why I pick the things I pick, so I can say fun words. I'm going to turn some of these other colors off. So we have some clarity of what we're going to be doing. So I'm doing the lighter blue first, this little lighter blue here. And I'll start here on underneath his teeth. So I'm going to zoom in on my drawing so you can see a little bit. And again, just get the curve. And this one might be a little bit harder to see with this color. So I'm going to go just a little bit darker so you can hopefully see. Nope, sorry guys. There we go. Now you can really see that color. So I will start again. And start getting these lines going. And I'm already feeling myself getting a little bit stiffer. I'm losing the curves in my line, and that's what I'm looking out for, is trying to get that nice curve on here. So this is going to end up being a dark black. But that's a good way to get me to transition over to get some of this blue here. So if you look on the actual reference image, you can see this is a very loose threaded. You can really see where the threads go in and out to make that wonderful color variation. And I really need to take some time to examine that color because I love that color and I already know I didn't match it. So when I'm just pulling it in and curving it in, I slowed down a little bit. I feel like I'm actually putting the needle in and threading it out. So I lifted my pencil, but I went back and then. So we're just going to keep going around this. If you have the patience, you can go through and do a drawing where you are literally, rather than doing the zigzags like I'm doing like that, rather than do that, you could take your time and do each individual stroke and develop your lines like that. I think those are really beautiful. When we look at woodcut and relief print making, we do individual lines like that to get our place where we need to carve areas out. So I'll keep going on this. You guys can hear the music in the background. In honor of 9/11, I picked the greatest hits from the 2000s to be playing. So it's taking me back hearing some of these singers. It's definitely taking me back to my first deployment in 2003. So I know it's not very loud. If you need me to turn it up, I can. So I'm going to go through and catch this line back up here. I'm being fairly sloppy with this line at this point. And then I'm going to go and jump across get this stitch working here. I say if you're doing this at home, loosen your arms, but take your time with this and really finesse these lines and get it lined up. Okay, I think I've got some blue in there. We're starting to build that up. Put that green back on. So it's starting to come, still coming together. We'll get the darker blue going. Oh, Sherry, sorry about that. Yeah, well, you know what, Sherry, you know what I can do is we can put on, we can, if you go to the web page, that tiger, the other tiger is on the web page, and you can take a look at that. So let's look at the darker blue here, or if we got anybody that also wants to switch to the other image, just let me know, but I'm going to just keep going through with the dark blue on this one, so you guys still have the reference image up. And let's see, what do I want to do? I said dark blue, right? So we're going to go. This is a tough one because it's such a weird, like I said, it's such a weird profile. It's not quite the right perspective. It's not quite the same, the colors that you're used to, but I think that you can really start to make this one make sense. But yeah, I have to, this is the second round of doing this one for me. And I struggled a little bit with it as well. But I think it was just a little bit easier than trying to capture the full body of the other tiger. I'm going to start with this darker blue. So along the jawline here, we're going to give myself, first I'm going to start on a new layer. I'm going to give myself this little strip here. I'm going to do a second round across that. And then go one single line. Oh no. And then go up and get this area here. Okay. This is the hard part now because it's really this little, once we start putting these darker spots in, it starts to bring the drawing together, and I always want to overdo it. I always want to add more, make it make sense, but you have to be careful because then you'll start really making an outline of it and it won't make sense. It feels right, but it doesn't. This is very easy to overdo this really quickly. But now we see the outline of the tongue, so I can just do like single lines here if I want. Do a couple little zigzags. I'm going to do some zigzag work in here. If you had a sharp pencil, that's where the sharp pencil will come in handy here. Now I'm going to cut across here, and I'm going to give myself a one line outline. And then I'll start filling that in with those. Okay, so I'm coming in a I'm going to do the same thing here, give myself this outline. I like this color a lot better than the last blue I picked. This navy is really nice against that orange. I'll do a couple little loose lines here. Again, taking some artistic liberty in here. This works sort of like the shadows you would see on the thread when it's actually physically there. We've got a couple of spots here. All right, and then we've got some line work up in here that can do the single line work and then go in and give us this nice bold swatch of color. Molly, how am I doing on time? I want to make sure I give everybody an opportunity to show if they want to show some stuff.
It is 7:53.
Okay, great.
And we also had a question if and when we go back to in-person drink and draw, will there still be a virtual component?
Yes, it's a very good question. So we have decided we're going to keep drinking draws virtually, and then we will be offering occasional in-person, just like we did before. So if you're in the Madison area, we used to do drink and draw once a quarter, right? Like, or every other month. So what we're going to do is drink and draw is going to remain virtual every month. And then we have a few opportunities where you're going to be able to come into the museum. First one's going to be this November. We've got a gallery night event. We're working on some logistics of what that looks like for in-person drink and draw and whether or not I'll be able to do a live broadcast. So stay tuned. That leads us to a really great transition. October, unfortunately, we're going to take a month off in October because we have we're happy about that because we are able to bring our cemetery tours back in person this year. We had to go virtual last year with cemetery tours. And basically, for those of you from around the country and around the world, we have our local Forest Hill Cemetery where we have many Madisonians, prominent Madisonians and veterans from the Civil War to present buried there. And so we have a theater troupe come out and they tell 4 or 5 vignettes of the people that are buried there, and they perform a scripted event, and we give tours and talk about all of the different folks that are buried within the cemetery. So it's a really wonderful evening, and drink and draw falls along that week. So we're going to take October off, and then we're going to come back in person for a gallery night, and we'll probably have a drink and draw component for that. And then December, I'm working on finally getting Amber Zora online to do her Sumi ink drawing. So keep your eye out on our webpage for the updates for Sumi ink drawing. Will there be a podcast of the Talking Spirits? So we've revamped, and Eric, you can correct me or Molly, I believe we've put the online virtual tour back online where we actually videotaped the vignettes last year. And then there will continue to be a virtual component of the cemetery tours. And as you walk through on that 3D tour, you can click on gravestones and we have different presentations. So our staff recorded stories of specific, like Union Rest, where the Civil War soldiers are buried, Ogden's, Zinc. We tell the story of that tombstone. So there's a lot of fun stories still in that virtual component. It's either up right now or we put it up after the tours are complete. Eric, you may want to confirm that with us.
Yeah, we're going to film the vignettes as they're happening during the tours. And so we're going to put those up with the virtual tour that we did last year. We're going to combine those two elements together. So the virtual tour will still be up with new updated vignettes.
Great, good question. And then continue to check on us on our website whenever we do have an opportunity for, oh, Molly, great. At the bottom of the page, you'll find the 360 tour in yellow. So if you go to the link to our website that Molly put in the chat there, you'll be able to see the 360 video tour. If you are in Madison, the registration is live now, so you make sure you register for the public tours to come see that event. And then, like I said, keep an eye on the website because once virtual drink and draw every month, we'll still be here. And then the in-person drink and draws, we'll make sure we post in-person event in person. My goal is even when we have in-person, I can still broadcast from the museum. So you guys will get to be in the museum with me for our hour broadcast because I don't want y'all to go away. I want to be able to do this for you. I know you guys are still, some of you are looking on reference. Does anybody want to share their drawings? Let me stop sharing for, well, if anybody holds up, I can stop sharing. Let's see here. Stop share. Oh, I see. Hold on one second. I'm adding a pin right now. There's Taya. Oh, wow. Good. You got, I love the zigzag on the background too. I love it. Are you using oil pastel?
No, chalk pastels.
Oh, okay. It's lovely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
Okay. Hope it wasn't too weird of a assignment tonight. Good. Anybody else want to share?
Sheila was showing hers.
Sheila. I don't see Sheila. I changed my view for some reason. Let's see. Oh, there we go. There we go. So there's Sheila. Very nice. That's the black and white. So that's an example of where that like constant the constant line work can really build up a line drawing on that. Really well done, Sheila. I actually, can you come and put that, can we use that one and put on top of mine as the final key image on mine with the colors? All right, let's see. Anybody else? There we go. I see Sheila down there. I see, is it Arroya? Am I saying your name right?
Yes,
There's
you
another.
are. Very
Say
good.
what?
Yes, Eroya, that's correct.
Oh, right. Wonderful. Well, glad to have you here, Arroya. This is another example of a wonderful line work. You can see on all of the, like where the black stripes are, that nice little rounded edge that really defines, it defines the shape of the face. You can really build up those broad areas. Thank you for sharing. Anybody else? No. Okay, well, I'm going to share my screen one more time. And go back to Procreate. All right. So we got, you can see I've got some work to do on this one, a little bit more definition. I'll probably add some more colors, but I want to go to the one. So my tragic mistake was I had things planned and then I switched gears at the last minute where we could have done a simple background of the jacket first. That would have practiced our, excuse me, our line work. And then you get the tiger here. So I really enjoyed this tiger. You can see where I used some of the pinks underneath to really give it a little bit more shape. The cool part about this working with these line works and just continuous line is it made me remember my painting background, where you would do some solid color and then really get your fine detail brush and start doing all of those little tiny lines to give that fur, and how you start using different colors to build up to get the fur. So I think that we will probably do another series of these embroidery and maybe try different techniques on the embroidery that's not just a single line, and work with some of that buildup of color and then finish it off with some fine line work. So if that's something you guys are interested in, let me know. I'm just going to look. Thanks, Sherry. We're looking forward to the new events too. I'm really excited about the upcoming season. We are doing some really great things at the museum, and it's nice to be back in person. We're still getting our bearings after being away for so long, but I'm really happy that you guys are here every month. We've created a nice little community here for Drink and Draw. So as long as you want to be here with me, I'll be here. I'll be bringing more artists. We've got some artists scheduled for the upcoming year. You guys have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Enjoy the class. Thank you. I enjoy giving these classes. I was a little bit more quiet this week, but this was definitely a reflective, like I said, meditative exercise for me this week. Eric, do you want to make any announcements for upcoming events? I know we talked about cemetery tours.
Oh my goodness, we have so many events coming up. I would just refer everybody to our website. We have book talks, we have historical conversations, movie nights, just so many events coming up. I don't even think I could list them all off the top of my head.
Yeah, we've got the curator conversations on Monday. We're talking about 9/11 on Monday, right?
Correct. Yep. And then we have a book talk the following week. Trivia nights coming up, movie discussion nights. Working on the 2022 calendar, and I've got all kinds of events going on there. So just keep checking our website, keep coming back. We're trying to make everything as much as possible virtual so we can include everybody that started following us since we were on lockdown. We don't want to lose our audience, and everybody seems to enjoy our virtual events. So,
and thanks to Margaret and Joe, always great. I'm so glad you guys are here. I'm trying to challenge myself, if you guys haven't picked up on this, with these drink and draws, of figuring out techniques that I'm not, I do stuff that I don't normally do, and it's helping me with my drawing skills, and it's helping me get back to just some of the basics, really. And trying to find an object or an image within our collection that fits that is always the trick too. So we want to do some perspective. When Amber does Sumi ink, you guys are in for a treat. It's going to be this wonderful black and white contrast using ink. We've got a series of images already selected. I had to let her go and get married, so we had to wait for her to come, but she's getting on the schedule now, and she's going to be with us. And I'm really looking forward to Amber's presentation. But again, I'll remind you, like I've reminded you before, if there are techniques or something that you really want me to focus on, or bring somebody in to focus on, let me know, because that helps with the deciding process of what I'm looking for. And I focused on souvenirs these last couple because our exhibit's opening up. So if we do the live event from Gallery Night, you'll be able to see the new exhibit too. So I'll do a quick walkthrough of the exhibit for you. Maybe we'll do a show and tell drink and draw, and I'll give you some images to work on after our show and tell. But watercolor pencils, got it. That's a good one. Because we could do something like this and then pull the washes into it. I'll put that on the list for sure. Maybe that'll be our November, because that's a quick sketch that I could do and do some washes. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, I think folks of all, we're gonna be heading out tonight. Enjoy your weekend. Please stay safe. Tomorrow, never forget, please take time, take a moment to reflect and take a moment to pause. So thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening. Stay safe out there, please. Be healthy and well.